This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're talking about a brand new set of songs that we just wrote in the last 2 days. And we're getting near the end of our full-time Ubering. So we got a full-time job. We're going to be in Portland, Maine for a little while. We're going to work on some songs, but we got a lot of stuff to work on to put violets out. So songs that we're talking about today were called Linear Horizontal Proof and Co-Dependency JAM. And they couldn't be more different songs. They're written on 2 different days. I wrote them on Sunday and Monday of Sunday last week and Monday this week, which is just before the 4th of July 2019. And I'm driving, so excuse me for the noise, but so we're talking about Co-Dependency JAM. So Josephine Electric is talking about this kind of codependent relationship she's having with this person, whether it's a female or male, that, it's a kind of a bad scene. The person's really got a lot of emotional issues, and that's kind of what the codependency is. Is you kind of got a negative relationship with somebody, and you're kind of dragging each other down, and you got your own both your psychosis between both individuals is actually dragging the whole relationship down, and it's causing pain from either mental abuse or physical abuse, and it's just not a function. It's like this dysfunctional relationship. So this whole idea of this codependence jam is we did this thing with our keytar, our rolling keytar, to really have a powerful riff. That we have this powerful riff that we're going on, and it's a kind of a driving power beat, kind of like what Prince used to do, like Sign of the Times. I can never take the place of your man. It's got this kind of power thing going on, but we also got a love for bands like Bob Mould, Grant Hart, and Husker Du. We've talked about this before. We're trying to thread the needle between a band like a Husker Du and a guy like Prince. We're trying to bring our electronic, drum beats. And the drum beats on this thing are actually coming from an 80s set on a JDXI. So that's where the kind of Prince vibe, it's got kind of a Lynn drum machine vibe, because the JDXI has a drum set that's called 80s. And when you listen to it, it sounds very Purple Rain, Sign of the Times. It's just got some of the electronic toms and snares and basses that I think the Lynn LM1 is famous for. It's got the rolling version of that. And so we use that, and that's an original beat. It's not a sampled beat. It's the drum sound from the JDXI runs through an Arturia Beat Step Pro that we created that beat ourselves. It's not sampled. It's not pulled from anything else. It's an original Phantom Electric Ghost beat. And then we did the keytar chord arrangement to have this kind of Husker Du kind of power pop punk effect, and then Josephine's kind of wailing. And not only did we do on this song, we actually introduced multiple vocals through the BT4. So we've got Josephine kind of starting it off. We got Stephanie, her sister, in there. We got the Phantom in there, and Josephine's talking about her man, and then Phantom's talking about his man, and then Stephanie's talking about her man. So it's like psychosexual, bisexual, multisexual affair where everybody's talking about this dude. But also females today, a lot of young women call themselves dudes. So just because somebody says they're a dude doesn't mean that they're actually a male. But in this particular song, we do talk about being a guy. But when we say dude and we say rooftop dude is really a woman. And anybody knows me, they can't figure out who that woman is. I'm not going to get into it. But when I talk about a dude being in love with a dude, everybody should know who that rooftop dude is. You can kind of figure out in my history who that rooftop dude is. I'm not going to get into it, but you can understand. somebody I really fell in love with real hard, and then it didn't work. But then we get to the other song, linear horizontal proof. We then again we're talking about the dude, and then I just told you who the dude is. So linear horizontal proof is Josephine Electric and this kind of raspy hoarse voice that we like to use sometimes. We use the actual megaphone feature on the VT4. We didn't use the harmony, which is interesting. We like to use the harmony, but sometimes it makes the enunciation that Josephine's doing kind of muddy. So sometimes we don't like to use it. But we did use the megaphone and a pitch control to a certain level. We used our studio electronics microphone, and this is a interesting song because what we did is we ran our DFAM into a make noise math module, and we're learning more about the linear and logarithmic processing within the maths, and we were able to significantly change the bass. We were using like a big bottom bass preset from the Moog drummer from another mother. Because the drummer from another mother doesn't have preset actual tones or drum patterns. It has little cutouts that you overlay over the device. And then we're using the cutout preset called Big Bottom Bass. And then we ran that Big Bottom Bass, and we altered it. We take the bass settings and we change the VCO settings, kind of amped it up a little bit. And then we ran it into the math module. And the math module, through the logarithmic and exponential processing of the signal, we significantly changed the signal. And then the math module also can take in multiple signals, so we also have a Mother 32 coming into the Make Noise Math module with a bass tone that adds to the big bottom bass that's already happened. And then we use and so it has this kind of portamento effect that we're using within the math module, which you can do this kind of like rolling portamento, kind of sliding up and down. So we've got controlled voltage sequence going through the DFAM. It's also running through the math module, and it runs through like this portamento, so it gets rising and falling rate. It gives this kind of weird feel to the song. It's basically the rhythm section is a bass. There's no drums. It's a bass. And then we're playing a piano kind of like a jazzy chord, like a diminished seventh, playing between diminished sevenths and fifths, and some other things that we're playing with. Kind of jazz-oriented focus on the playing. That we certain chords we like to play in a jazz way. So this structure got me kind of trilling, because I was a clarinet player. So sometimes I like to do the equivalent of a trill with the keys, do a triplet kind of off the cuff, maybe on a sharp or a flat, and kind of bang it that way, kind of flip through the sharp and the non-sharp note, non-flat notes, and just kind of do a run, like a 3-note run, like what I call a triplet, coming back from my clarinet days, translating that into the piano and using that as a technique in the way I play the piano. So I try to bring that kind of clarinet technique into it. So that's where that song's got this kind of piano romp going on. It's jazzy on top of this kind of rolling portamento bass that's coming through the math module. And so it's really using our Eurorack and then using our, this is a combination of using analog and using digital. Because the Juno is a digital synth using kind of a old school kind of PCM type of digital. But it's got, I like the piano. I ran it through an MX1 performance mixer, through a little bit of a digital delay to give it a little kick. And then, we recorded directly to the Zoom R24, and now we're sending it for some mastering to Bentley. We're gonna put it out. Whether this goes on violence or not, it's gonna go out as a single, and then I like it a lot. I probably put it on violence, but I gotta figure out that violence is probably gonna only have maybe 10 or 15, probably 15 songs, maybe 20. If I can get them to put out 20, I'll do it. I gotta see whether, I don't know how many songs Bentley's going to limit for an album format. So I'm going to try to push it. But if I push it, it's gonna go from being like an hour to an hour and a half. So I don't know if I can push it that hard. But I do have so many songs for violence. But I am seeing the performance of certain songs over other songs, and it's kind of making the decision of which songs are going to be on violence. And it's not necessarily the songs that are the most current songs that are going to go on violence. It's kind of based on what I see on Spotify. I can see some metrics on Spotify and my SoundCloud as a reaction to some of these songs. And then based on that reaction, I'm going to select which songs go on violence. But with a little caveat, if there's a song I really like and it's not kicking and I think it's part of the concept of violence, it's going to go on violence even if it's not kicking, because in order to make the album have an album feel, that song was part of the whole concept for the album. Like the song Violent Embrace is part of like the whole idea of violence. It's not been kicking as hard as some of my other songs, but it's an integral part of the album. And like a song like Violence is Never Okay, that's a big part of the album. It's actually been doing well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. So we've done the best we can with, we always try to do better. But like I said, one of the things we're trying to figure out as a tool for the future when we're in this apartment, we're kind of leaning to the Akai Force because it looks like it's a good way to kind of pull together your instruments. The Sport Pyramid also looks really good, but what kind of makes the Akai Force look good is the fact that it's got this grid-based input method that you can actually play chords and melodies on, and it looks really interesting. And I think I would put a key step with it as well. And then if I had the Akai Force, I'd probably get a Roland D05 to get those D50 sounds. And then the other module I might get, because I like drums a lot, and I'm not going to probably bring my JD inside, is probably the Roland Boutique 808, because I think that would be a very interesting thing to bring in. And I'm also going to have my MX1 mixer and my Zoom R24. My idea is like whatever limitations there are in the Akai Force creating songs, I can take the output of the Akai Force and then bring it into a WAV file on my Zoom. So I will actually send the overall project WAV file recorded into the Zoom through the outputs that would go to the speakers and actually record it and get a WAV file out of it that I can actually build as a song. So I can actually take multiple projects within the Akai, from an Akai, and then create them, layer them and create a very complicated song. The Akai is pretty cool. Like if you want to do performance, it looks like a really good performance machine. I've heard in terms of projects, it's not set up necessarily in terms of like traditional song writing, more maybe like DJ and hip hop writing. It's one thing I think they needed to think about, like the way the Score Pyramid is structured to actually build songs, and the new Pioneer sequencer can actually build songs. I'm not sure why Akai didn't think to structure it to build songs. Hopefully they'll have an update that make it more of a song-oriented rather than a kind of clip-oriented system. But I think a lot of people, because EDM and trance, a lot of DJs kind of write with clips, but it would be better if it was more like the workflow in Ableton, exactly where you can structure songs. And I've heard that it's not exactly that, and that's kind of frustrating because I think I can get it to do what I want. Based on the way I record, I want it to be the central control system, and I've talked to Sweetwater about it, and they do recommend that it would be a very good central control system for modular synths and for other for modules. So like I say, I have an OPZ, which I would bring into it, by a D5. I've got my Euro rack with my Moog DFAM Mother 32 and Arturia. So I've got a lot of sonic goodness. Because I've got the Arturia and the DFAM and the Mother 32, I don't think I need an SEO2. I think that would be redundant. I would also later to have the full keyboard that I want other than a key step. The keyboards I'm looking to kind of augment or replace my Juno, which I don't know if I'll ever get replace my Juno. It's got 1,300 sounds, really good pianos, very good basses, good synths, pads. It's a really kind of do-it-all. I mean, the Juno series has been known as a do-it-all. But I am very interested in getting an analog synth. Now, the virtual kind of analog synth that we see from the Prophets that are out there, like the Prophet 10 and the Prophet X. I mean, the Prophet 12 and the Prophet X. You got this kind of hybrid thing going on. But I think the big thing I talked about before is I think I like UDO's Super 6, which is not a full analog synth. It's got analog filters, but it's got digital oscillators. But it's using the FPGA, which allows you, I think, like the boutique, like boutique, and like the System 8 and System 1 Roland. It allows you to digitally create the mapping of an analog circuit. Instead of a CPO, you can actually map the original analog circuitry into the FPGA, which is like a programmable chipset that allows you to build like old school analog and replicate, which I think is what Roland does with their boutique. But I don't know if they actually use FPGA and had everybody else, or they're doing something else. But it's the same idea. And the UDO Super 6, it looks amazing, but it's not out. So it's kind of like, virtual where until we see it. We've seen it at Super Booth, but we haven't actually seen it in the wilderness for real. And I asked Sweetwater if they were going to carry it. They're kind of on the fence. If it comes out and it's been popular, they'll probably carry it. So then the other synth that I'm really heavily into, since I can't afford a Moog 1 at like $9,000, is the Moog not the grandmother, but the matriarch, which is a 4 oscillator semi-modular beast that's paraphonic and it looks amazing. The one thing that's kind of concerning me though is this thing is not out, and Sweetwater was supposed to do a full review of it, a full dive into it, and for some reason they have not done the deep dive. They went and did like a Moog 3P, and they've only done like a 10-minute dive on this machine. It makes me wonder, has Moog told them to hold off because they're doing some kind of update? I don't know that. Don't put a rumor out, but I'm not sure why Sweetwater hasn't done a full review. I have not seen anything more than a 10-minute review of this machine. I have not seen the full reviews that we normally would see from Anderson's and Luke Pop and Sweetwater, and I'm like, why? So I'm not sure if they just have had a delay in production or there's an issue. I'm not saying there is, but like, why is it had not been fully reviewed? And I don't think it's fully out. But another cool thing that just happened, which I got to do today, is the OPZ now has a sampling update in the latest OS, and I am very interested in using the OPZ and like the way I use my Morphogene. I'd like to see what happens if I take like a sound that I bring into the Morphogene and then bring it into the OPC, and then see what happens if I create like a unique sound. If you can grab stuff with the Morphogene sampler from Make Noise and actually operate it like it's like a tone, like it's an oscillator. So I was thinking, like, what if I take one of those Morphogene like genes or splice and then bring it into an OPZ? So I've got to do the update. I got to use my daughter's Microsoft Surface to update my OPZ, and then I would look at the tutorial. There's a couple of tutorials online, and then I'm going to try to see if I can play with the sampler and do a song with the OPZ sampler, which is supposed to be similar to the OP1. I don't have an OP1, and I like an OP1, but the OP1 price has gone crazy, and I'd rather see an OP2 than pay what they're charging for an OP1. And I probably would buy a grandmother before I buy an OP1 for the price that they have right now. And that's still a question. The other thing I think is really interesting, and for the money, is the Arturia Microfreak which has like West Coast synthesis and subtractive synthesis. It can do sine waves. It has a bookless style capacitive keyboard, non-movable keyboard that's kind of touch sensitive and like it's actually finger area sensitive. It allows you to do all kinds of unique playing by putting more of your finger onto the capacitor keyboard. It allows it to kind of change its volume, and it's paraphonic, but they say it's got a paraphonic polyphony, which is kind of weird, but it actually seems more polyphonic than paraphonic when you use it. And because it's digital oscillators, which have 11 types, seems like you could do a lot with the machine. I'm not sure if it has piano, because I would love to use it with a bigger keyboard like a keystep if it's actually got pianos in it, but I wasn't sure. I know it's got wavetables, but no one's really shown me. But I guess the Loop Pop ran through a bunch of the patches, and I probably need to watch his segment to see if there's any piano. I heard organs, I heard synth pads, I heard the basic waves, but I didn't hear any piano, so I'm not sure if it's got piano in it. I got to get a surface so I can use pigments with my key step, because I'm not bringing my Juno to my hotel, so I need something with a piano, and I can't bring an RD2000 into the bigger thing. I guess the Go piano would be cool, but I don't really want that. So what I'm probably going to do, I think if I get a D5, I think it's got really good pianos in the D5. So if I get a D5 with the Arturia key step, that'll probably solve my problem. The D5 has some really interesting pianos I can use. So this is the end of this episode. It's kind of long. We've been talking about a lot of things, but check it out. Become a supporter of the podcast. We don't have any of our ad sponsors on here anymore. Anchor told us they were going to give us new sponsors, but sometimes they take a while to do it. We do have CIN Pals, which is a new type of social network where you get verified background checks. So check out CIN Pals at CINPals.com. They're a supporter of our podcast for the last couple of months. They have a way that if you're a foodie or you're into cosplay or into comic books or into video games, you want to get together, you can create a group. You can all be verified and know that you have had a criminal background check. So feel confident when you get together physically. The whole purpose of this app is that you could potentially, because you have got people who've been checked out, you can feel better about meeting them in person. So check out CINPals.com, and we'll talk to you later.
I got a co-dependent man. You can't take a stand. You got a co-dependent man. Burn in hell, burn in hell, yeah. I got a co-dependent man that doesn't know how to take a stand. I got a co-dependent man that just isn't afraid of sand. I do what I can. I do him, but he's not a man. I got a co-dependent man, and I do him when I can. I do it off of the man. I do it 'cause I can. I got a co-dependent man. Life is a grain of sand. It's a master plan. We're gonna do it 'cause I can. Co-dependent man, gonna do when I can. Gonna do it on Mars. Gonna do it 'cause I got too far.
I got co-dependent man. Gonna do it when I can. do it 'cause I'm a man. I gotta do it when I can. But Stephanie says it's real. Oh no, you're gonna feel. Oh, the Stephanie says it's real. And I guess Josephine's the real deal. I got cold standing there. Oh, it's hand in hand. I got cold standing there. Oh, held this gun in my hand. I'm gonna shoot it wild. I'm gonna shoot it with style. I'm gonna get it all pain. I'm gonna go back and get clean. I got cold standing there. Oh, well, I wish I could, but do it like I would. I the fucking would, and now you know you should. We got cold headed man, and a robot gun in hand. You gotta do what you can. You gotta take it to the man. I got cold bending man. I gotta beat him by the hand. I'm burning hand. You can stick him in a cage when you can. Put him in the cage when I can. I got cold bending man. Oh, I'll stick him in the cage when I can. Cold bending man. I gotta lead him by the hand. Just another wretch. Oh, doing real bitch. I'm just another wretch. I'm dead, but I'm affecting that little death. Just 'cause he's rich. And go play bitch. I got cold, big man. I gotta lead him by the hand. I got a gun when I can. Showing what I'm saying. I know he's not lamb. I'm a wolf and I can do it to a man. It's all I'm clear. I got cold man. I gotta lead him by the hand. I got a real rich. I'm dead by the fact that little death. And dead by the fact that a little rich. There's not back to the middle, back in the noise, it's a fucking mess. Presidential, temperamental dude. Are you gonna go jump off that roof? And presidential, temperamental mood. Are you gonna go jump to the doom? In transcendental, oh rude. You're gonna go take a handful of loot. In that temperamental, enchantable mood. You're gonna go do what you gonna do. You get enveloped like a Mediterranean blue. You're gonna go and do that, dude. And temperamental, but frustrating too. Know you're in love with that dude. Square making a round hole, just can't get screwed. Square making a round hole in love with that dude. And transcendental, temperamental mood. Gonna go take that handful of booze. You're the epitome of doom. In transcendental, temperamental too. Gonna go up to the roof in love with that dude. It's we're making a roll out hole, just can't get screwed. Temperamental, transcendental proof. Oh, you're gonna take a handful of those. Temperamental, fragile too. You're in love with your darling dude. Take a handful of lewds, murder proof. Temperamental, horizontal proof. You don't wanna get linear too. Temperamental, horizontal proof. Lie down on a blanket on the roof. You're gonna go grab a handful of lewds. Square pegging around hole, just can't get screwed. You're in love with that rooftop dude. I know that handful's the proof. Tragic magic, and loose. Tragic magic, and loose. Tragic magic, and loose. Temperamental, fragile too. Tragic magic, and loose. I know you're hostile toward that dude. Gonna go grab for a handful of lewds. Tragic magic, horizontal proof. Square pegging around hole, just can't get screwed. Transcendental, horizontal proof. You know you just can't get screwed by that dude. Transcendental, horizontal proof. Square pegging around hole, just can't get screwed.